Up everybody, Louis back here again. We got a very exciting London card. Unfortunately, it's not in the UK, it's in Vegas, but it's still a lot of showcase for a lot of UK fighters. Quick recap of last week, I did pretty bad. Giga Chikadze surprised a lot of people, definitely surprised me. Got done against Barboza, good on him. Knocked him out, very dominant. Big things for him to come. And then, there's some big underdog spots, I got them wrong. I bet against Gerald Mearshart because of his chin, and he did get rocked, and his chin held up, and then he was able to come through like a veteran, get the submission in the second round, so good for him. I was wrong on that one. And then, the underdog I picked was Andre Petrosky and Brady Highstand. I picked Brady because, both tough fighters from The Ultimate Fighter, didn't know too much about him, and Petrosky was minus 500 something, but he got it done. Good grappler, usually can't get the job done. Another underdog I picked wrong was Alessio Di Chirico, and then taking on Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Abdul just didn't look good in his last couple fights, and the only way he could win was with the knockout. And what did he do? Knocked him out in like 20 seconds with a head kick. So he got that done. I did really bad. It sucks, but I would have been better off if I just picked all those underdogs. I would have went 2-1 instead of 1-2. So I just need to, if I feel strongly about underdogs, just kind of gotta change my strategy a little bit. Might as well go with all of them because I would have done better. And Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, fun fight. Not as crazy. I thought it would be a lot more technical, but I went to that fight. Pretty fun experience. It was cool seeing him up close, and the energy in the arena was pretty electric, especially during that fourth round. It was fun. Tyron definitely didn't do enough. I feel like he regrets his fight, but he didn't look terrible. He looks the best anybody's ever looked against Jake so far, and then Jake Paul getting it done against a veteran like Tyron, a UFC champion. I don't like the dude, but good on him. He got it done. This card should be pretty fun. You got a big matchup at middleweight, the return of Darren Till versus Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson's been on a hot streak. He's been the upset king recently. And then you got Tomaspinall taking on Sergey Spivak. Collision course of two heavyweight prospects. Should be a very fun matchup. Big win for either guy. Either guy is going to go on to be in the top of the ranks with a win like that. And then you got something I'm interested in. You got Modestas Bukauskas taking on Khalil Roundtree. This is do or die for Khalil Roundtree, and it's a big spot for Modestas. And then you got the debut of Paddy Pimblett versus a tough UFC veteran, Luigi Vendramini. So it's going to be a tough test for Paddy. If he wins, gets a finish, it's off to the races for him. Fun card, potential to make a lot of stars. Did my research, some decent spots. Let's get this money. The feature fight of the prelims, 145, Julian Erosa taking on Charles Jourdain. Should be a banger. Julian Erosa, his last fight took on Sungwoo Choi. Not much to the fight. First round, eats a 1-2, moving forward, eats a straight right, and he slides in, and then he lands a lead left hook, but then he throws left hook, but he eats a counter left hook and then gets knocked the fuck out. But Sungwoo Choi is a big power puncher, so it is what it is. But before that, he took on Nate Landwehr, another banger, not too much of the fight. First round, lands 1-2 hooks, lands a straight right in the exchange, but then he catches a kick and lands a straight right against the fence, but then he gets dropped in the firefight. But then he lands hooks and the uppercut and gets a TKO, just a wild firefight, and he came out on the right end that time when he fought Sungwoo, came out on the wrong end. Just a crazy guy. Charles Jourdain, his last fight, took on Marcelo Rojo. First round, he slides into the clinch. He able to land some body shots, but he covers up and crashes in, and then he lands another uppercut. And then he skirts along the outside of the fence, but he comes forward to throw. He lands a head kick at range. He eats hooks as he's coming forward, and then he backs up. He lands a straight left, and then he gets the clinch. In the second round, he eats a body shot against the fence, but then he lands a jab off of Rojo's leg kick. Then he lands right off of Rojo's hook, and then he catches the kick and lands a body shot, lands a few body shots, eats a knee to the head, but then he lands a flurry to the head and the body. Just kind of tees off on him, and then he lands a jab inside the pocket, then he lands a flying knee, and then a 1-2. It looked pretty good in that round. I was able to keep it crisp. And then in the third round, he starts picking up the pace, and he starts stalking forward. He lands an uppercut, and then a flurry whenever Rojo throws a kick, and then he lands a straight left. And then he throws a jab, and then a hook to the body, and then he lands a 1-2 at range. And then he drops him with a straight left, and then he goes into his guard and lands some heavy ground and pound, just beats him up. And then he's able to get the sort of a crucifix position, and then back on the feet, he presses to the fence, and then he lands shots to the head and the body. Then he gets a clinch, and then lands hooks to the body, and then gets a knockout, the uppercut from the clinch position. Very, very good performance from Charles Jourdain. The betting odds, Jourdain -180, Arosa +155. You know, Arosa has knockout power. He could end it with one shot, like we saw Razak Abdulhassan do last week. But, you know, he's hot and cold. He just knocked the guy out in a minute, and then he just got knocked out in a minute. Charles Jourdain is more consistent, in my opinion. As long as he can withstand the first couple minutes of Arosa's fire, I think he'll be okay. My pick here is Charles Jourdain. And main event of the prelims at 135, you got a fun fight. You got Jack Shore taking on Ludovic Sholinian. Sholinian fought Ricky Tercios on The Ultimate Fighter. Didn't make it past him, but put on a fun performance. Jack Shore, his last fight, he took on Hunter Azure. In the first round, he lands a 1-2, initiates the clinch, and then he gets around the back, and then gets the body lock takedown, and is able to get around the back. But however, he gets reversed to the full guard position, and then back on he's able to get back to his feet. He lands a counter right off of Hunter's hook, and then he lands a left head kick to end the round. Good showing. And then the second round, he's able to press the clinch, and then he gets the double against the fence. But Hunter gets right back up and gets to his standing team position. But then he's able to get full guard. But then, and back on the feet, he slams out of the jab range, and he lands at 1-2 of his. But then he eats a 3-2, and then he eats a straight right after throwing a leg kick. In the third round, he defends the high single leg against the fence, and he lands a lead left hook. But he gets a clinch and then a mat return, able to get around the back again. And then they're in the sitting double position where Azure's back is up against the cage. But then he gets reversed to full guard, but did enough to win the fight. You know, used a lot of good ground control from him, very patient. And then Ludovic Sholinian took on Ricky Tercios on the Ultimate Fighter show. Just a crazy fight, if you know how Ricky fights. But, you know, Sholinian, you know, he came to bring it. So in the first round, he throws a jab, eats combinations, and then a leg kick. But he lands the right cross as Ricky's moving forward. And then he circles, but he eats a head kick and then a combination. And he gets walked down and hit with a flurry by Ricky at the end of the first round. And, you know, Ricky's the type of guy that just keeps coming forward. So in the second round, he's able to get the double leg from open space, and then he's able to get in full guard. Some ground and pound, but nothing too notable. Then they get back on their feet. He eats a straight right, but he's able to defend a double leg with a crotch lock. And then he's able to kind of get around his back. It's kind of sort of like a snake position, more like a 50-50, but he's able to hold Ricky against the fence, basically. And then he's able to scramble, and then he gets in on a single leg, and he's able to get the takedown, get back control, but then he eats elbows from the bottom, and then they get back on it, and Ricky gets out, and then he eats some right hands in a firefight. Whenever he gets into a firefight, he loses against Ricky. And then in the third round, he eats right hands in an exchange, but he's able to defend Ricky's double leg. But he eats jabs, he's moving forward from Ricky, and then he eats a flurry against the fence. But then he's able to land a counter overhand right, but he eats jabs in the pocket and eats 1-2. And like I said, you know, he doesn't win the firefight against Ricky, but a good showing. Tough guy, brings it, doesn't quit, able to get some takedowns of his own. Take a look at the betting odds. Ludovic is +385. Jack Shore -525. And you know what? After last week, you know, I'm not betting somebody -500. I don't care. Even if I'm wrong, whatever, I'll get one wrong. But you know, Ludovic, obviously his caliber isn't quite there. He didn't make it off the Ultimate Fighter, but Ricky's a tough guy. Ricky won the Ultimate Fighter. You know, you're counting this guy out. Jack Shore should not be -500. My pick here is Ludovic Sholinian. Then at the prelims, you got a fun women's fight at flyweight 125. Molly McCann taking on Ji-Yeon Kim. Molly McCann, last fight, she took on Laura Procopio. Not much to it. She just got dominated on the ground, basically. But a quick recap. First round, she gets the clinch on the fence, but she gets taken down to half guard with the wizard kick from Procopio. Can't really do anything. Second round, gets clinched to the fence, and she gets taken down with the body lock lift. And she attempts an armbar from guard, but, you know, nothing's able to get it. And then she get back to her feet, but she gets taken down again with the body lock. Third round, she gets taken down again into full guard. She gets back to the feet, but then Procopio is able to get around her back and take her to the mat and just put the hooks in and control her for the rest of the fight. She took on Talia Sanders before that, though, more of a competitive fight. In the first round, she comes forward and lands a right hook, eats a knee to the body as she's coming forward. Then she comes forward and lands a right hook, and she's able to slide out of the way of punches. She eats a knee to the head after throwing a shot. She shoots a double, and then but she eats a knee to the body for her trouble, and then she gets taken down with a double leg from Santos. Second round, she gets the clinch on the fence, but she's able to land a few knees to the body. She eats a knee to the head, however, and then she gets taken down with a body lock into full mount, and then she gets put in the Darce choke, but she's able to defend. And then in the third round, she eats a knee to the head as she's rushing forward, but she starts getting walked down, but then she eats a jab and gets doubled to the fence and taken down with a trip, and then she gets put in Darce and gets her back taken again. So, not a great showing, but definitely more competitive versus Talia Santos. She gets taken down, but, she's scrappy on the feet, and I like that showing out of her. And then Ji-Yeon Kim, she took on Alexa Grasso her last fight. In the first round, she comes forward, throws a 1-2, eats a combination off of her jab, and then she lands a right cross, but she eats a counter right hook in the firefight exchange. In the second round, she eats a combination and then a straight right as she's moving forward. She eats a hook to the body, but then she fires back with some straight punches, decent hand speed. Her hands don't look too bad, and then she comes forward and she is able to split the guard of Grasso and land a 1-2, but then she eats a counter overhand right, and then she eats another straight right as she's moving forward, but then she eats a right cross and a jab. But then in the third round, she comes forward and lands a 1-2, and then she eats the right cross, and then she gets clinched she's able to get the clinch against the fence, but gets reversed and taken down with a trip into half guard for the rest of the fight. And, neither woman is really great, and it's tough because the betting line is pretty even. Ji-Yeon Kim, -115, Molly McCann, -105. I don't know. I like Molly McCann just because there's something to her that I saw when I watched tape. Can't really explain it. She looked a little scrappier. Ji-Yeon Kim throws better straight shots. She's more accurate. But, I think Molly McCann could get in there and make it a dirty fight. I don't know why. She was the underdog. Now there's no underdog. But my pick here is Molly McCann. And then the first fight on the main card, very anticipated matchup, 155. The debut of Paddy Pimblett taking on Luigi Vendramini. Paddy Pimblett, a Cage Warrior standout. His last fight, he took on David Martinez in Cage Warriors. Not a very long fight. And the first round, he presses forward and lands a head kick, and then he's able to land a flurry against him. But then he's able to get the takedown with the head toss and get back control and get both hooks in, and then land some nice ground and pound. And then he's able to get a submission victory with the rear naked choke. And then before that, he took on Decky Dalton. In the first round, he eats a lead left hook, but then Dalton slips on the ground, and Paddy's able to get her on the back to the rear naked choke position. He's able to get the body triangle, and then just lands ground and pound from the back and gets a TKO victory. So, not too long, but he hasn't, before that, he got a loss, but that was in either 2018, I think it was 2018, I believe. He hasn't fought in that much. Once a year for the past couple years, so I'm just going to base off his last couple fights, and I'm sure he's training got better since that time, so that's what we're going to go with. Then Luigi Vendramini, he took on Faris Zam, his last fight, and in the first round he eats a jab, but then he lands a right hook off of Faris's jab, but he eats a left hook as he's moving forward, but then he keeps eating the jab at range. In the second round, he presses forward and lands a left hook, but he has trouble getting inside because of the jab from Ziem, and then he shoots a double leg from space. He was actually in on it pretty deep, but it's stuffed by Ziem, and then he tries to work his way inside with hooks to the body, but Ziem's still able to keep him on the outside, had a lot longer reach, which is going to be trouble for him as Paddy has longer reach. And then in the third round, he works his way in. He lands big hook combinations, and then he's able to chase him, and he lands hard right hands to the head. Just chases him down because he had him hurt a little bit, and then he's able to push him down. He's kind of off balance, and he gets in a full guard, and then he lands some nice ground and pound, and then he's able to work to the full mount momentarily, and then he gets the half guard, and then they get back to the feet. He stalks him and lands hard hook combinations. So the first couple rounds didn't look so great, but he really came alive in the third round. But Paddy usually gets it done earlier, so if it does get to a third round, I like Luigi there. But you take a look at the betting odds. Luigi's +135, Pimblett -155. Pretty close fight. And like I said, I think Paddy's going to be able to get done early. And if not, it's not like he's going to necessarily get dominated the third round. He might lose the third round, but I think, he'll be able to do some good work in the first two. I don't think he's going to gas himself. I think he might get tired a little bit, but I don't think he's going to completely gas himself out. And close line here. I don't want to buy into the hype, but you know, I really do like Paddy from watching him. My pick here is Paddy Pimblett. Second fight on the main card, you got a do or die situation at 205. You got Modestas Bukauskas taking on Khalil Rountree. Do or die for Khalil Rountree. He's been hot and cold. Had a great victory over Eric Anders, but just lost his last fight. Disappointing fashion. Modestas Bukauskas, it's his opportunity to get a win off a notable guy and stake his claim because he had a tough last fight. Anyway, let's get into it. Bukauskas took on Michael Jacek his last fight. First round, eats left hook in the pocket. His double leg attempt to stuff, but he skirts along the outside of the fence. He lands the right hook and then a flurry as Michael comes forward. He lands a straight right, but he gets rocked with the counter left hook over to the top of his shot, but he gets tagged with the right hook on the fence. But then, however, he's able to land a spinning back kick to the body to end the first round on a positive note. The second round, eats a body shot against the fence as he's circling out. He eats a counter right hook in the pocket. He eats a jab to the body and then another left hook, but he comes forward and lands a jab and hooks, and he chases Olin Jacek down. In the third round, he comes forward, lands a few 1-2s, but then he eats a 1-2 as he's shuffling backwards, but then he lands an uppercut inside the pocket, right at striking range, eats a hook to the body, but then he gets clinched to the fence. He lands some 1-2s at range, he eats a right hook as he's backing up, but then he lands a short check right hook, but he eats a hook to the body, but then he lands a head kick in the exchange. And, you know, I was a pretty close fight. I think Bukauskas could have pulled it out. He didn't get it, but, you know, he looked really good, especially came on toward the end of the fight. And, you know, he was always in the fight. He gets outstruck a little bit, but, you know, Rountree looked a little timid, so I think it works out for him. Rountree took on Marcin Prachnio's last fight. First round, he bounces in and out. That's his stance. That's his style. Lands a straight left. Lands a straight left from distance, and then he lands a body kick. Eats a right to the body at range. And then he starts getting backed up toward the end of that round. In the second round, he's able to start chasing him with a counter right hook, and then he catches him with the counter right hook, kind of out of nowhere. Whenever Prachnio is striking, but then he lands a good body kick at range, and then he lands a short left hook. But then they both hit each other with hooks, but he's able to rock Prachnio with the counter left hook off of Prachnio's leg kick, but then he splits his guard with a straight left, and then he drops him with a check right hook, and then he lands another left head kick once he comes forward. So he really had him hurt there, but it wasn't able to capitalize. That's the disappointing part. And then he lands another kick to the body, and then he lands a straight left. And then in the third round, he's able to stuff the double leg attempt, but he eats a counter right hook and eats some follow-up hooks. But then this is the round he starts getting pressured. You can tell he starts getting tired because Prachnio was able to survive his barrage in the second round. So it's Prachnio's turn this round basically. And then he eats a short right hook, but he's able to rock Prachnio with the short left hook, but then he eats a jab and a body shot. He's walking in, and basically Rountree just got outworked, and you know, he had a big moment in the second round, but that's all he did. He just looks timid. I don't know where the guy was to fight Eric Anders, but I don't like how he looked. Rountree's plus 135, Bukauskas minus 155. I really wish it was reversed because I would have no reservations. But you know, I can't bet Rountree anymore. I can't do it. I'm sorry. You know, he's too timid. I like the dude. I hope he proves me wrong, but my pick here is Modestas Bukauskas. I like the price. And then you go to the third fight, feature fight 170, Alex Morono taking on David Zawada. Morono, his last fight, took on Donald Cowboy Cerrone. In the first round, he gets the clinch against the fence, and then he lands a nice left head kick, but then he eats a body kicks after he throws his jab. But he gets the clinch and the trip, but he lets Cowboy up off the mat, and then he lands an overhand right as Cowboy moves forward. He lands a jab and then a left hook, and then he's able to rock him with a counter right hook, and then he swarms him. Lands a body shot, and then lands a knee to the head, and then just swarms him, and he's able to get the TKO victory. Cowboy, he's washed at this point. That kind of proved it. But then Morono took on Pettis his last fight, and the first round looked really good. Was able to get a takedown, get around his back, and just control Pettis for most of the first round. But then after that, Pettis started having his moments and was able to outstrike him basically. So it seems to me Morono's kind of like a one-round fighter, I believe. I mean, that's From what I've seen, that's what I believe. So I think I'll probably have a good first round, but after that, who knows? But then Zawada took on Ramazan Emeev his last fight. In the first round, he gets a clinch and then a knee to the body, and then he lands an elbow over the top, but he eats a right hand, but then he gets taken down with the body lock, but he gets right back to his feet, which is always good to see. But then, yeah, he gets clinched to the fence, and then he gets tripped to the mat after throwing a knee, and then he attempts a Kimura to stand up, but he eats uppercuts on the way up from Emeev. Emeev was actually pretty smart, kind of just, his back was against, Zawada's back was against the fence, and he just unloaded uppercuts. It's actually pretty smart from him. In the second round, he gets taken down when he's blitzing, and then he lands a full guard, but he gets back to his feet, but he gets clinched against the fence, but he lands a leg kick, and then he able to defend the clinch attempt this time. However, he hits a 1-2 as he's moving forward. He lands a right hook and then a leg kick, and then he's able to defend the single leg this time, so he gets better as the fight goes on. And then in the third round, he gets taken down with a double as he's coming in, lands a full guard, but he stays busy on the bottom, keeps moving, kind of threatened to triangle armbar. But he eats some ground and pound, but nothing crazy. But then he's able to stand up, and he gets his takedown as Emeev holds on to the guillotine, and then he's able to move in a full mount for a second to do a little bit of work. But then he gets reversed, but he gets able to get back to his feet after that scramble situation. However, he eats a left hook, and then he lands a leg kick. And, he didn't look great the first round, but as the fight went on, he started to get a little better. And like I said, I think Morono, he'll probably have a strong first round. But after that, I think, he gets out of the first round with Morono. I think Zawada can start to outpoint him in the second round. He won't win any rounds by crazy margins, but I think he'll be able to squeak out the next 2 rounds. Zawada plus 115. And Morono is minus 135. And I really don't think Morono's good. I think Cowboy's chin's washed. He couldn't beat Anthony Pettis, and Anthony Pettis, his career is falling off in the PFL, unfortunately. You need to get a little bit of plus money. My pick here is David Zawada. In the event, you got a big fight at heavyweight between 2 rising prospects that are both really hot right now. You got Tom Aspinall taking on Sergey Spivak. Whoever wins this fight is off to the races. They'll be, at the bottom of the top contender list, I think. Tom Aspinall took on Andrei Arlovsky's last fight. In the first round, he eats leg kicks, but he lands a right hook. He lands a 1-2, and then a flurry, and he rocks him, and he goes to the body as well whenever he's on the flurry, which is always good to see. And then he clinches him up, but he gets blitzed by Arlovsky, but he circles out, and then he gets the clinch again, and he eats a straight right, but it lands a counter hook. And then in the second round, he's said enough of the striking, just gets a blast double, and then gets the rear naked choke submission right away. But, Aspinall's unloading on Arlovsky, but Arlovsky, that's kind of his game plan, just kind of eat shots, and he realized that. So very high ring IQ from Aspinall. I really liked his performance there. And Spivak took on Alexei Olenek his last fight. In the first round, circles off the clinch attempt and lands a jab and then a right hook, and then he presses to the fence with a single leg, and then he gets clinched and dragged down to the mat from the back, and gets put in full mount and then a scarf hold. Bad ring IQ from him. He kind of just let Olenek get around his back and didn't think he could take him down. Well, he can, especially a grappler like Olenek, so I didn't like that from him. On the second round, he lands a jab and then a right cross, but he eats a short right, but he lands a counter right of his own, and then he lands on top when Olenek tries to pull guard, and then he lands some nice ground and pound, and then he's able to move the full guard and just kind of beats him up, and he uses a overhook, and he's able to frame off his head and lands some nice elbows, tries to bloody him up a bit. And then he attempts the anaconda choke at the end, but then Olenek's able to get on top. Again, I get it. He's trying to go for things, but, you're not going to get an anaconda on Olenek, so I didn't like that either. In third round, he lands a double jab, lands a 1-2-3 combination, and then a short right. And he moves in and lands a jab, and then he presses him to the fence with a double, and then he uses the front headlock and lands a flurry, while Olenek's on his knees and just tees off on him. But then back on the feet, he gets walked down, and he eats a short right hook, but he eats it, and then he eats a 1-2, but then he backs up, but he's able to defend the double leg and then he's able to get on top and get half guard and just land ground and pound and win the fight. From there, Olenek won a round. It was a lot closer than I thought it would be. So, I know Olenek's a veteran, but Spivak's IQ's got to be a little better. But you take the look at the betting odds. Spivak plus 200, Aspinall minus 250. And honestly, I like Aspinall in this spot. I think Aspinall is going to win, but I don't want to put minus 250 on Aspinall against Sergey Spivak because they're both two rising prospects, and you know, I just can't do it. Spivak might be able to outpoint him. He just got to win 2 out of 3 rounds. You just got to win more than half the round. Might be able to get on top of him or just clinch him up. I think he utilizes his weight well, utilizes his space. So my pick here is Spivak. I'm not too confident about it, but plus 200. Got to go Spivak. And then the main event, middleweight, Derek Brunson taking on Darren Till. 185, very important fight for this weight class because, Robert and Izzy are going to fight, but, that fight's delayed until who knows when. So who knows if they got a little mid-tournament going on. You just had Cannonier and Gastelum, then you got the winner of this fight, and then you got Vittori and Costa doing whatever they're doing. So whoever wins this is in a really good spot. Derek Brunson took on Kevin Holland his last fight. Really not too much to the fight, just a bit. Holland would piece him up on the feet, even drop him, but Brunson would be able to get a takedown and ground it out. But I'll just go through it real quick. First round, Kevin slips, and Derek just jumps on top of him, gets full guard, lands ground and pound for the whole round. Second round, he eats a short. Derek eats a short left hook as he's moving in, and he's not able to get the clinch trip, and then he eats a right cross, and then he gets dropped with multiple right crosses up against the fence when Holland's able to get separation. But then he's able to, and then Derek's able to get on the single leg and get his leg up, and then he lands a couple punches against the fence, but wasn't able to get him down there. But then he's able to get the body lock trip into full mount, and then he's able to get into half guard and attempt an arm triangle, but he didn't get it, but he realized that didn't blow his arms out, so decent ring IQ from him. And then back on the feet, gets another double leg to end the round. Third round, eats a right cross, but he gets a single into full guard. And then he eats 1-2 back on the feet, and then a right cross. Can't really strike with Kevin. But then he shoots a double, and then a clinch, and he lands some uppercuts on Kevin, though. But then he gets the body lock and lands on top whenever Kevin pulls Kimura, and that's more just bad ring IQ from Kevin than Derek. And then Kevin gets up, but then Derek's able to get him down with the inside trip, and then he gets into full guard. And then the last round, he slides out of the kicks and straight punches, and then he gets the clinch, but he gets taken down with the inside trip from Kevin. So, Brunson isn't really good in the 5th round, I guess. And but then he's able to kick him off, and then he's able to get a double leg of his own and finish out the fight strong. But, the fact that he got taken down is really bad, but it is what it is. Darren Till took on Rob Whittaker his last fight. This was over a year ago, last July. In that fight, the first round, he's able to drop Rob with the elbow right away, and then he defends a single leg, and then he presses with feints, and he's able to get the clinch, and then he lands a head kick, and then he's able to slide out of the way of jabs, but he eats a straight right from Rob. But, as the fight goes on, Rob gets a little stronger, and Darren eats a little more shots. In the second round, he eats left hook off of his body kick, but he pumps leg kicks moving forward, but then he gets dropped with the overhand right into half guard, but then he gets to his feet. But then, he eats leg kicks again from Rob. But then in the third round, he stalks forward, he eats leg kicks, but he lands a knee to the body as Rob comes forward, but then he defends a single, but then he eats a left hook, and Rob did that a couple times. He would shoot the single leg, and then he really wasn't shooting it, and then when Darren would put his hands down, he would land a left hook over the top. Whittaker, very smart, but Till didn't really catch on to it. In the 4th round, he lands a straight left, but he lands a lead elbow, and then lands a few 1-2s, and then he defends a single, but eats a hook again, like I said. And then in the 5th round, he lands a head kick. He's able to slip the jab of Rob, but he eats a left on the single leg attempt again, but then he gets taken down with a single as he throws a 1-2 combination, and then he gets mat returned, and he's able to get back to his feet, but Rob's able to clinch him out for the rest of the fight. So, I think, not too many people try to take Darren down. His takedown defense looks okay. Brunson's not the best wrestler in the world, but, he's pretty strong. I don't know, it's a tough fight to call, honestly. Darren Till minus 180, Derek Brunson plus 155. You got to go with the odds on this one, I guess. I don't know, man. There's a lot of variables that we don't know. I want to say Till, but I don't know. I kind of thought Brunson when I first heard this fight. It's a tough one, honestly. I think Till's a little under-impressive. He really doesn't impress me too much, to be honest. It's going to be a close fight. I know Brunson will get lit up on the feet, but I think Brunson will be able to eat a couple shots and get the takedown. I think he'll be able to win at least 3 to 5 rounds. I like the plus money. My pick here is Derek Brunson. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it. You know, we just had a fun weekend of fights. This is going to be a good card, big UK showcase. You know, a little bit of time until we get the next pay-per-view, but, you know, still some fun fights to be had. And then, you know, September pay-per-view, October pay-per-view, November pay-per-view. Then December is going to be huge. November is a huge card. It's going to be a very fun fall for fight fans. Anyway, I appreciate you guys riding with me. Sorry I didn't do good last weekend. You know, I'm struggling. Very bad rough patch, but, you know, I still, you know, I'm doing all my research, and I make honest picks. It is what it is, you know, whatever, doing bad. But I did my research this time, and, you know, it's a new weekend. Who knows what can happen? You got a 50-50 shot every time, so I did the best I can. I appreciate everything, though. Hopefully I win some people some money on some certain fights, even if I do bad overall. Hopefully some people win some money on the big fights at least. Anyway, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, do fight recaps, all that. Leave some comments below. Let me know if you saw Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. Tell me what you thought about it. I don't really know too much about boxing, but, you know, it's always interesting to learn something you don't know that much about. Anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you, and let's get this money.